Hare Krishna. Very fragrant. Yeah? Well, welcome everybody. I see some of the people that were here yesterday and some of the people that weren't here yesterday. As you can see, this is the second half. Second half of part one. And then 6 more parts. Let us offer our obeisances or pranam mantras to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For those of you that were not with us yesterday, we spent a lot of time doing some review to get us ready for chapter 14. So we went all the way back to chapter 11, and chapter 12, and chapter 13. And the scene in the beginning of chapter 14 is Brahma has gotten some fantastic realizations from some fantastic mercy that was shown to him because of his offense. Brahma wanted to see the limit of the unlimited, which is, he got to see there's no limit to the unlimited. He wanted to see the powers of Krishna beyond, in comparison to his own powers. So he made an offense or a mistake. And the mistake was he kidnapped Krishna's cowherd boys and calves and went back to see what Krishna would do. But when he went back to see what Krishna would do, there was the calves and cowherd boys. Because Krishna had expanded himself in exact likeness of each calf and each cowherd boy. And there's a teaching about Krishna. There's many teachings. One of them is when Krishna does one thing simultaneously, he's accomplishing many other things or multiple things. But it's not multitasking. He's not distracted. He's just fulfilling multiple purposes. So one purpose was to fulfill the desire of Lord Brahma to see what is the extent. Is there a limit? And there the answer was no, there's no limit from what he saw. But there was another purpose in the expanding of each calf and cowherd boy was to fulfill the desire of the mothers and fathers of the cowherd boys, particularly the mothers. They desired to have Krishna as their son. So Krishna became their son for 1 year. By his expansion, so perfectly replicating the cowherd boy that the mothers for 1 year didn't even recognize this wasn't their son. That was how good the expansion was. And with all of their idiosyncrasies and cultural and accents and behaviors and their buffalo horn and everything, exactly the same. Exactly the same. And in this way, they had Krishna as their son for 1 year. And the calves became the children or the calves of the cows, because the cows wanted Krishna as their calf, so Krishna became their calf. So if you live in Vrindavan, you got to be careful what you want, because it might happen. Very nice teaching in chapter 12 of Canto 10. Vrindavan is such a place that even in the case where there is a natural predatorial relationship between one species and another species, everyone gets along just fine. It's gone. There's none of it. It's such a place. I wonder what happens to mosquitoes in Vrindavan and gnats, and they didn't discuss that in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the peaceful existence of all living entities simultaneously. So, for 1 year. And at the end of 1 year, something very wonderful happened. But you have to wait till the end of chapter 14. But I'll give you a sneak preview. At the end of 1 year, the calves and cowherd boys that Brahma had kidnapped or thought he had kidnapped were replaced. So and those cowherd boys were sitting there when Krishna went to look for the calves and Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys. They were under the care of Yogamaya. And although 1 year had passed, they didn't feel that one moment had passed because there they were. Yogamaya replaced them. The original, I'll say it. There are 3 sets of cowherd boys, identical cowherd boys. 1. Yogamaya, when Brahma had the idea, Krishna knew the idea before he did anything. So Krishna engaged his Yogamaya potency to hide, to conceal the cowherd boys, Krishna's cowherd boys. If you sit right by the steps, then the next person that comes down can't come down. So don't sit by the steps. Nice try, though. The ladies, come over a little bit, because you know how it is. People come a little bit late. Some people. Okay, so there were 3 sets of cowherd boys, identical. One were the real cowherd boys. Yogamaya concealed them. Number 2 set of cowherd boys, Mahamaya manifested identical cowherd boys, and those are the ones that Brahma stole. He didn't steal the original. He stole it's directly in the verse that Shukadeva Goswami speaks. A Maya cowherd boy set, identical, put into the cave with the calves, and Brahma put them to sleep. Our commentators say the Maya by which Brahma put the cowherd boys to sleep was Mahamaya, because he doesn't have Yogamaya. He has Mahamaya powers. So that was Mahamaya or Mahamaya cowherd boys that he put to sleep with his mystic powers, because he couldn't put the cowherd boys to sleep, because they're Satchitananda forms. But those Satchitananda formed cowherd boys, that's cowherd boys number 2, they were concealed for 1 year. And under Yogamaya's influence, they had no sense of passage of time. And then the 3rd set of cowherd boys were the ones that manifested, Krishna manifested himself as cowherd boys. That's 3 sets, identical looking. When the 1 year was up, Krishna withdrew those cowherd boys that were him, and then the original cowherd boys came back by Yogamaya's arrangement. And there they were having lunch by the side of River Jamuna, just like as if no time had passed, and they didn't feel 1 year separation from Krishna, although their bodies got 1 year bigger. Boys that are 5, they grow in a year. So their bodies grew, but they didn't have any sense of passage of time. Vrindavan is a mystical place. So if you don't accept, please accept. But if you don't accept that Krishna has inconceivable potencies, then you'll not understand Krishna. and you'll not understand Vrindavan, you won't understand his pastimes, and it becomes, mythical. Not mystical, but mythical. It's a night story, but not true. Mythology. But it's not mythology, it's Krishna's pastimes. And by Krishna's potencies, he can expand time, he can contract time. He can expand space, he can contract space. He can expand forms, he can withdraw those forms. By his will. He didn't have to go to college, get a PhD in, computer technology or something. So he can build an artificial intelligence Krishna that can do amazing things, because it's not real anyways, it's just artificial. He doesn't need any education. He is all knowledge. He is all potent. He's everything. And what does he do? I was in Virginia. I was at the Potomac Temple about a week ago, last Sunday. And at the end of class, an Indian family came up, and one very stern-looking young man, in his late teens or around 20-ish, was looking at me like he was going to burn me with his glance. And he said, "I'm Catholic." I said, "Fantastic. Nice to meet you." And then his question was, "Did you grow up with this?" I said, "No." Then his question was, why did you accept this teaching, the Bhagavad Gita, instead of the Bible? It was like, he was lasering me with his glance, like he was going to burn me or something. Anyway, I gave him a very, don't sit by the steps. I said, because I said a number of things. As a young boy, I always wanted to know. I was curious young boy. I wanted to know lots of things. I wanted to know how a piano tuner tuned the piano. I wanted to know stuff. I learned by being inquisitive. So when I was little, I wanted to know, what's heaven like? Because I went to Sunday school. I was just a good Christian boy. You go to Sunday school, you go to church. So when I said, in church, we sang, God is good and God is great. How great is he? How good is he? Where does he live? What's his address? What does he look like? No answers. Or I asked Mom and Dad, what's it like in heaven? What do people do there? They didn't know. They didn't say we don't know, but they didn't know. And then I asked the priest, and he didn't say he didn't know, but he didn't know. And I asked a few other people, and nobody knew, so I just stopped asking because nobody knew. And then I started asking. So I told the young man, not all this, but I wanted answers, and I did. The Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, these Vedic texts give answers. Then it was questions: why do you have faith in the Scripture? So why do you have faith in the Bible? Because it's revealed Scripture. It's revealed that which is beyond your mind and senses to perceive or to reason. It's beyond that. And Scripture reveals that which is beyond your mind and senses. And he kept looking at me like he was going to burn me. I mean, he wasn't moved. And I said, what makes you have faith in the Bible? What makes you so angry that you're speaking to me like this? I didn't ask that question. And he started, with his steam coming out his ears, started to give an answer. And his mother put her hand on his arm and basically said, "Don't go there," because he was going to lecture me. She knew that was not going to be so good for him. But to want to know, which is beyond our capacity to reason. There's some fundamental things you have to understand by hearing, by shruti, by shabda, spirit, aparusheya shabda, beyond the fallibility of a human being, that kind of sound. You can't southwest.com and find out when's Krishna going to come and visit America again. It's like you need authority for when the Southwest flights, but not or the gas station attendant. How do you get to Krishna Loka? You have to ask the right authority to get. So the Vedas give us their authoritative texts, and Srimad Bhagavatam is superlative among them. And a fundamental is because it's one of the sessions is the third of these prayers of Brahma, the inconceivable potencies of Krishna. If you can't accept it, you'll never understand Krishna. If you, in principle, accept it, you have a chance to at least notionally, conceptually, have an understanding of what's beyond your experience. And then when you hear things that are beyond your experience, you don't go, oh, come on. It's just the nature of revelation. Same as in the Bible. God said, let there be light. And there was light. And it was good. It's like, okay. How do you know? Through Shabda. That's a pramana. It's a means of evidence. I don't go into it. It's a nice way of explaining things. So yesterday, after this, Brahma's at Krishna's feet, having experienced what he experienced, and he's going to begin offering prayers. And one of the essence of his prayers is going to come today, but it's then throughout the rest of the 40 verses that's his prayers. He's made an offense, and he's going to get a reaction for that offense. And how do have we make mistakes? I remember in the 8th grade science class, Mr. Antonacci said, I remember 15 years ago I made a mistake. He laughed. We all make mistakes because we're fallible. The error is human. We're human. We make mistakes. And Brahma made a mistake. But his mistake was more than a mistake. It was an offense. And he's going to get spanked. He's going to get a reaction for it. He knows it. And he's preparing himself to accept it. And at the same time, he's appealing to the compassionate side of Krishna rather than the reprimanding side of Krishna to not just give him a light sentence, but to whatever the sentence is, let it be for his well-being, so that he'll never make such a mistake again. And that's the mood. And so we covered first 3 verses. We really went far. Covered a lot of background, and then the first verse, very, very beautiful meditation on Krishna's form and the ornaments and his dhoti and everything. But the simple Krishna in Vrindavan. But very beautiful description, assisted by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, helping us do Krishna meditations. And then the second verse, Brahma says, although I have, at this time, I have no material desire, I can't understand your form, what to speak of the happiness that you experience in that form of yours. I don't have the capacity to understand. And then we covered the third verse, and I gave kind of like a homework assignment. Oh, that doesn't sound nice. I made a request. That sounds much softer. Homework assignment. Oof. So, and is asking persons to meditate on, and if they would like to recite verse number 3, because we're going to recite it together as part of our preparing for the next 5 verses for this evening. So here's a little display of the sections. The first 8 verses approaching Krishna, then Brahma's humility with the sense of identity with Krishna. In that humility, the inconceivable potencies of Krishna, or the nature of Krishna being inconceivable. A really nice section. All of these we're going to be discussing during this visit. Beyond bondage and liberation, the knowledge that's beyond bondage, beyond liberation, glorious Vaishnavas, and glorious Krishna. So that's the sections. 40 verses, as you see. And if Krishna permits, and if it works out, let's see, there's the final 20 verses in that chapter that tells what happens after Brahma finishes his prayers, and we plan to do all that. So here's verse 3. Who would like to volunteer to slowly and with feeling recite verse number 3? And if nobody wants to volunteer, that's okay too. Yes, Amrita Kelly. Go ahead. No, just let her do. She can do. Very nice. The meaning, there's a teaching in Hari Bhakti Vilas that says, when chanting a mantra or a stotra, while chanting one should meditate on the meaning, because that sound vibration is self-revealing, and like the first verse, through the sound vibration of the first verse, Krishna is being manifest. And if one becomes very, very qualified as a receiver of sound, Krishna will manifest through sound. And at least in the initial stage, it's meditation on the sound and the meaning of the sound vibrations. So it's same for this particular verse. We'll do it. Let's see if anybody else would like to volunteer. Hey.
I'll give it a try.
Oh, give it a try, slowly, like she did.
Gyane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti san mukharitam bhavadiyavartam stane stita shrutigatam tanovan manobhir
Ye
jivanti
prayaso.
ye prayasho
Jita jito.
ye prayasho jita jito apyasi te strilokyam.
Okay. Sachi Sutta. You can read it. Slowly.
ज्ञाने प्रयासम् उपतास्य नमन्त एव जीवन्ति सन्मुखरितं भवदीयवर्तं स्थाने स्थितः श्रुतिगतं तनुवान् मनोभिर् ये प्रयासो जितोऽपि यसि Taistrilokyam.
Okay. You need a little polishing of your Sanskrit pronunciation, but pretty good. So let us all, it's on the screen here. Let us say it slowly. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiyavartam stane statak shrutigatam tanavan manobir ye prayaso jita jito piyashitai. Don't sit on the stairs because then people won't be able to come down. So you have to sit another place. There's a place. Look at that. They saved you a place right over there. You don't like it over there? Okay. You want a chair? Okay. Now, we spent a lot of time on this yesterday, and I think when we finish, we'll come back to it because according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his talks with Ramananda Roy, this verse expresses the goal of life and the means to achieve it. That's important. The goal of life and the means to achieve it. So here's the translation. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, that's all of us, stane stita, throw away the process of speculative knowledges, jnane prayasa udapasya, jnane prayasa, prayasa means endeavor, udapasya, throwing it away, completely, throw it away. Throw what away? The endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative power. Jnana. Jnane prayasa udapasya. And instead, namanta eva, with their body, words, and mind, tanmukaritam, bhavadiya vartan, offer respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, which is exactly what we're doing during this little time together, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees. Certainly conquer your lordship, jita, although you're otherwise ajita, by anyone within the three worlds. So it's not like our objective here is to conquer Krishna. But the point is, it's a loving nature's side of Krishna. When persons approach him in this manner, he's already soft, but he just submits himself. He becomes subservient. His mood is to become subservient to the will of his devotees. That's what happened in the pastime with Aghasura, the chapter 12. We discussed it yesterday. Okay. So if you were going to put bhakti in the front seat and jnana endeavors not just in the back seat, but like toss it aside, bhakti is superior to jnana. It's reinforcing this other text. 3 is for number 4. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path, bhakti, and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve a desired result. Now, what's the desired result? To know Krishna. And you can't know Krishna by jnana. You can't know Krishna by jnana. Can't even come close. But by bhakti, you can know Krishna. So if you just give up bhakti and take up jnana, can't achieve the desired result. The purport uses this example, thrashing grain. So there's an agricultural field, and there's some ladies. They have some. Wheat when it's harvested, it's cut in bunches, and they thrash it. So that the thrashing machine is that very simple procedure with some holes or strips, and they thrash and thrash, and the kernels of grain of wheat fall through the thrashing machine, and it's just left the chaff. So somebody, supposing they take up the chaff and do it again, just thrash it again, they don't get anything. Just hard labor and trouble for nothing. And the process of Gyan is compared. So bhakti is superior to Gyan. Bhakti is superior to yoga. Now, when we hear yoga, lots of things come into mind. Commonly, yoga is like hatha yoga. You go to a yoga class and learn how to do asanas, maybe some pranayama. That's about it. And become healthy and supple and flexible. That's nice. But that's not the goal. And so this yoga that's being spoken of here is karma yoga. But bhakti is superior to yoga. Oh, Almighty Lord, in the past many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. So if you can understand what's being said here, he's describing the nishpala karma yoga. Karma yoga, performing prescribed duties without attachment to the results. So nishpala, not attached to the results, karma yoga. So, or the celebrated verse, I learned this some years ago as a young brahmachari. Ask a Gujarati, what's the number one verse in Bhagavad Gita, and it's not Sarvadharmam. What's the verse? Karmani eva karase ma phaleshu kadachana. That's it. You're entitled to perform your prescribed duty, but not entitled to the result. That's it. 1866. But it's not. It's not. 1866 is bhakti. And this other verse is karma yoga, nishpala, without being attached to the fruits, perform prescribed duties. So those that do that type of karma yoga, non-fruitive, and offer the results to the Supreme, that's a preliminary. But what helps them go to the stage of bhakti that's beyond the preliminary? I mean, it just says preliminary. It's a type of bhakti. It's mixed bhakti. Karma Mishra Bhakti. So what make it go a little bit further is hearing topics about Krishna. The hearing process is so important. Here's commentary. Through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, easily surrender to you, and achieve your supreme abode. So it's nice, but it's better than nice is with the process of hearing. And the process of hearing directly awakens bhakti. So that was pretty quick. There's 2 verses, 4 and 5, and here's number 6. So jnanis, karma yogis, non-devotees, however, cannot realize you in your full personal feature. What can they realize? Nonetheless, it may be possible for them to realize your expansion as the impersonal Supreme by cultivating direct perception of the self within the heart. And that's a very elevated non-devotee. But the devotee is one that, who understands Bhagavan. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam is not, it's Srimad Bhagavat, it's in relation to Bhagavan. And the person who acts in relation to Bhagavatam is Bhagavata. There's the book Bhagavatam, the person Bhagavata, who act in relation to Bhagavan. So these are persons who don't have Bhagavan realization, but they may it's possible for them to do some type of meditation. It's popular meditation. Meditation on a candle, or meditation on something. Make up something nice. A gong, Buddhist meditation. Boom. Boom. And, something happens to your nervous system. It becomes a little bit modified as opposed to the buzz that's going on all the time otherwise. So it may be possible for them to realize your expansion as the impersonal supreme if they get to the stage of cultivating direct perception of the self within the heart. Now, some of you are familiar with the Srimad Bhagavatam, and those of you that are, there's the first 3 chapters of Canto 2 are describing stages of forming a personal conception within nature, forming a personal conception within nature by meditation on the universal form. And it's a particular type of universal form described in chapter 1 of Canto 2. The hills are as stacks of bones, and the trees are as hairs, and the rivers are as veins, and the sun and the moon are as 2 eyes. And so seeing things within nature and gathering a personal conception of the Supreme within nature. That's for starters. For such a person, meditation on the universal form is recommended. See God within nature. Nature is a manifestation of godliness. And then transition from that meditation to the meditation that's being described here. Meditation, because some persons do meditation, but they don't really know what they're meditating on. Anyway, that's without all those examples of people. People do meditation, but on meditation on what? So eventually it may not, but it may come to the position of meditating on the self within the heart. The people have an idea, but they don't know. It's a very vague idea that there's a source of energy within, and they're meditating on that source of energy within, chanting Om and feeling that source of energy within. How people do what people do today to get a state that's detached from the materialness and come a little bit closer to an impersonal self within, because the personal conception is beyond them. So that such persons can't realize the personal feature, but they may realize an expansion of the Supreme. This is verse 6. Krishna's hearing these words spoken by Brahma, and he built the place, this universe, so he knows what the different parts of the universe are. But they can do this only by purifying their mind and senses of all conception of material distinctions. Shoo. And all attachment to material sense objects. That's it. That's very special. Who can have, a detachment from all material sense objects and all sense of conceptions of material distinctions? Now, shoes go on your feet. When we probably came with shoes. We left our shoes at the door. When we leave, we don't put our umbrella on our feet. Although it was raining, we probably brought an umbrella too. You make some distinctions. Practical, practical stuff. Mind and senses purified of all conceptions. When to speak of actions that follow conceptions of material distinctions. Whew. That's rare. That's verse number 6. They may get this state of realizing your impersonal feature of localized Paramatma. Then he goes on, verse 7, then we're going to get to verse 8 because that's the special one for this evening. In time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth. Think that's possible? No. Or particles of snow. More likely than particles of atoms. Or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, stars, and other luminaries. Now, once upon a time, I was a high school science student. You know, when people would ask me, what's your best subject? Science. You know, one of the things we learned in science class is, some of our young members probably know what I'm talking about. There's been a debate for some time amongst the scientists whether light is a wave or a particle. You know that one? Yes or no? Young men? Shreyas, you've heard that debate before? You've heard the debate before. Thank you for answering. Yeah. So, for those of you that aren't high school kids, it's in this public schools, and it's in the laboratories. They do tests, and there's tests they can do without you telling you what the tests are. They can prove, or at least not prove. They can lead one to believe the conclusion is a particle, and then another test leads one to believe it's a wave. And this test says this, and that test says that, and they debate. And there's no conclusion. Well, the Bhagavatam and Prabhupada regularly would speak of particles. Now, if it's a particle wave, it doesn't mean if this is right, then that's wrong. If that's wrong, they're not mutually exclusive, necessarily. But it's an interesting, debate. But the Bhagavatam is indicating, and Prabhupada would indicate, the light from the sun is a particle. Like he would use the example, little spark, and so many little sparks make the luminosity of the sun. Anyway. But amongst all these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you? Now, 2 sections later, we're going to be the potencies. But this is qualities, which is not the same as potencies. The qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities. Now, embedded in this verse number 7 is a purpose. And a purpose, amongst the many purposes, is Krishna comes to benefit all living entities of the earth, on the surface of the earth. Of course, that means in the water and the air also, but on the surface of the earth. Is the benefit. Just like Lord Brahma, he's benefiting him because Brahma, who's the object of Brahma's meditation? Vishnu. So he just showed him the unlimited Vishnus. And, Brahma's very in ecstasy. His object of, and so forth and so on. All the living entities in Vrindavan. And then, the demons. They have a sense of the Supreme in this way and that way and the other way, and he comes as death personified and finishes them for their benefit. So when he finishes them, when Krishna finishes them, they're liberated. Their sinfulness and the reactions of their sinfulness both tendency as well as the sinfulness is gone for their best interest. So what is the ultimate benefit? What is the benefit of living entities? Devotional service. Say it negative. Without devotional service, what benefit can you give to somebody? Something temporary, but temporary. So do the temporary, that's fine. But what about permanent? The ultimate benefit for all living entities is to somehow engage them in devotional service. And even living entities that aren't in the human form of life, by the human form of life, if conducted properly, can engage living entities in devotional service. I know a devotee that one of his favorite things is prasadam distribution. And it doesn't stop with prasadam distribution to human beings. He's got a plan for prasadam distribution for birds and fish. And he gets really excited. But he has some crumbs, and he takes the crumbs and throws them in the pond. And the fish come and take prasadam. How fortunate. His life is dedicated to giving mercy, giving the greatest benefit, because who knows what's going to be the result of that fish eating that crumb? Who can say? Spiritual benefit from a fish form, and etc., 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 etc. It's the engaging others, engaging living entities in devotional service is the greatest benefit. And Krishna comes for that purpose. All living entities. Without prema bhakti, no one can understand your transcendental form, even those who have surpassed the material ocean by full knowledge cannot understand that form. What's that? Crossed over the ocean of material knowledge, or the material ocean full of knowledge, because knowledge leads to detachment. Knowledge leads to detachment. So if they're detached from the material, they can't understand Krishna's form. No one can describe your innumerable sweet qualities. What to speak of realizing those qualities? What to speak then of being able to describe your astonishing qualities which engage you in sweet pastimes such as stealing yogurt? That's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He's got his fingerprints, you can tell. Because it's very, very rasika-like. So the benefit that Krishna wants to give is the sweetness of his pastimes. And those who are like Vishwanath, those that are wise, they want that happiness of the sweetness of his pastimes, including stealing, whether it's yogurt or whatever else he does. It's all of the transcendental platform. Who can enumerate your greatness in detail? Answer, no one. You have manifested your qualities for the benefit of all people of the universe. The Lord reveals qualities that are suitable and beneficial for a particular jiva. But how many particular jivas are there? Unlimited. And they're all variegated. This is Sridhar Swami's comment. The jivas are unlimited. Their natures are unlimited. They are in unlimitedly different conditions. Therefore, in response, your qualities are unlimited. Very logical. And very true. And it's a way. It's one of the ways of understanding the merciful way in which Krishna appears for the benefit of every living entity. So one living entity may appreciate nice music. Another living entity may appreciate nice art. Another living entity may appreciate nice food. Another living entity something, 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 something. And Krishna supplies all those somethings. His qualities are there to nurture and satisfy all living entities. And that nurturing and satisfying leads them to him. I'm pausing because I'm thinking this nice example. Could you send me a text message after, and I'll send you a reply, and the text message, the reply goes something like this. In Tirupati, once upon a time, there wasn't an ISKCON temple, but there was the Tirupati temple up on top of the hill. And the devotees, particularly Revati Raman, developed a friendship with the administrators of the TTD, and he made this. It took some time. It was relationship development, but in over some time, he said, "How about this? This Srimad Bhagavatam is such a wonderful literature. Every Vaishnava should hear it and participate in it. Please don't sit right by the steps because that will block people from coming and going. Thank you." So an arrangement was made. There's Tirupati temple, many long walkway to get up to the top, and he said, "Let us set up bookstalls, and at our bookstall we'll sell your luglus, your prasadam, and all the money that comes from the prasadam sales we'll give to the temple. It's the temples. We're distributors of your prasadam. You take all the profit, and we'll set up a bookstall. People will get the books, and the profit from the books will build the temple down at the bottom of the hill." So that's what happened. That's how the temple was built. And there was a wonderful relationship. They really liked people getting the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita as it is. It was a non-sectarian gesture, and the people would get prasadam from Balaji, and people would get the transcendental knowledge from Srimad Bhagavatam. And one day, at one of the bookstalls, there was a man standing there, glassy-eyed, staring at the bookstall. And one of the devotees at the bookstall thought, "The guy's a thief." So he went from behind the booth and came out and started scolding the man that he thought was a thief. And then a second devotee saw him do this, and he said, "No. He's a celebrity. He's a vocalist that, I forget it, the particular Karnataka vocalist." Say it slowly, just you, Sachi Sutta. Okay, thank you. So, I've heard his name many times, and I'm not good with names, sorry. So, the other devotee that stopped the devotee from harassing him came around and said, "Sorry that he didn't know who you were, but could you tell me what it was what you were seemed to be entranced by?" And it was a very short statement, but he said that person singing, because along with the stall they had Prabhupada Kirtan, and his statement was his voice is from another realm. He's a skilled vocalist, skilled professional, and was a celebrity at that. But Prabhupada wasn't a professional vocalist or musician, but his voice was transcendental, and this man could understand it from another realm, something like that. So there's something for everybody, including Carnatic singers. Within all that variety, this is Vishwanath, that was Sridhar Swami. Within all that variety, there is supreme unlimitedness. That is impossible to count. what to speak of the unlimited places and time in their various planets. And all of that's created by the expansion of Krishna's potencies. And here's Vishwanath again. Therefore, a person who has given up all other types of spiritual practice and only does bhakti obtains you. That is the gist of this section. What is the mindset for such a sadhaka? Brahma talks about it. So this is our, this is, verse number 8 is as important as verse number 3 in terms of the whole Bhagavatam. It's a very, very important verse. So we're going to recite it twice. Tate nukampam susamikshamano ujana evatma kritam vipakam ridvagvapurbhir vididhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. One more time. Tate nukampam susamikshamano Ujan evatma kritam vipakam tidvagvapurbhir vididhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. The last phrase at the end, sa, dayabhak, he becomes the rightful heir. The rightful heir of some wealthy person just has to survive the wealthy person. The law of progenitor, aside from wills, that's a modern procedure. The prior procedure is the eldest son, or the sons, the offspring, they inherit the property of the father. So they don't have to have wills, but now it's wills. So they inherit the property of the father. He becomes the heir to the property of the father. And what's the property of the Father? If the Father is Krishna, it's the kingdom of God. So here's the translation. My dear Lord, this is the first line. One who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him. Tatenu kampam suksamikshimano. All the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds. Now, this has to do with Brahma's offense, or his mistake, or his misconduct. And he's going to get a reaction. So he's going to get a reaction, and we are also getting reactions for our something back there. We may not know what that something back there is, but something back there is causing a reaction. Offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body is surely eligible for liberation, for it becomes his rightful claim. Now, there's a nice teaching, amongst many nice teachings, and that is bhakti has the power to eliminate even shadow of bhakti. The shadow of the holy name has the power to eliminate prarabdha karma. What's prarabdha karma? Karma that's happening now, right now. So there's stages of karma. There's a seed and dormant, when time is waiting, and then it starts to fructify, and it's about to mature, and then it matured. The matured is the prarabdha karma. Bad stuff that's happening now. Abbas bhakti, or Nam Abbas, has the power to eliminate completely prarabdha karma. So if it's not prarabdha karma, what is it for a devotee? The example is given, just like the blades of a fan that's spinning, you turn the switch off. What happens? It continues to spin. So you're not adding more electricity because you shut the switch off, but it continues to move. So we're practicing devotees, the switch is off, but the blades of the fan are still moving. So when those blades of the fan are moving, then something happens. May whatever it is, it's due to something, the karma that was going on before, and the blades of the fan are still spinning. And so when some misfortune comes to any one of us, to beginning sadhakas, it's not punishment or something. It's the good and the bad and the mix is due to the residual effect of our past activities. Whatever it is, it's going to come. And you'll hear the teachings. It's caused by us. From Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text 22. Purushak prakriti stohi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmaso. So sad asad, the good and the bad, that's how Prabhupada translates it. We're the architects of our own misfortune or good fortune based upon what we do. Our involvement in Prakriti. Purusha, Prakriti, sto, situated in Prakriti, sta, Prakriti, sto, he, certainly. Purusha, Prakriti, sto, he, bhunkte, in the mode of trying to be the enjoyer. Bhunkte prakriti jan gunan, within the modes of material nature. We create the good fortune, ill fortune. We're responsible. You can't blame somebody else. I mean, you can blame somebody else, but you're responsible. Not only you're the receiver of the consequence, but you're responsible for the consequence. You can point the fingers at someone else. They did this to me. Boo-hoo. But we're the architects of our good fortune, ill fortune. That's teaching of Bhagavad Gita, and that's a teaching here also. Prabhupada's making a comment, 3 comments from Nectar Devotion on this verse that we just recited. This statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be the guide of all devotees. A devotee who is not perfectly freed from the resultant actions should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness seriously, even though there may be so many impediments. When such impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. That's the tat tendukampam. All the while, Krishna is merciful. Know it for certain. Krishna is merciful. Even if you're being slapped around by the material energy, Krishna is merciful. This being slapped around has to do with our misdeeds. Not Krishna's not being kind to me. That is his only solace. If the devotee passes his days in that spirit, it is certain it is going to be promoted to the abode of the Lord by such activities. He earns his claim to enter into the kingdom of God. Sounds pretty simple. Just take shelter and accept my misdeeds they're going to come to me no matter what. So don't whine, complain. So here's the first line in a nice big heart. Tat tendukampam susamikshmano. Susamiksha, samiksha means to contemplate or to evaluate. And the initial evaluation or contemplation when something goes wrong is you look outside. You don't look inside. I mean, superficially, people look outside. It's hot. So, I'm feeling hot because it's hot outside. It's something. Or someone said something mean. Or whatever. Something happened. And it's something out there. And then, samiksha, as you think beyond the immediate, proximate, external cause, and start to look more deeply, that's the susamikshamana, earnestly hoping for his mercy. tate, anukampa, anukampa. Hope, expecting. His mercy is not the same as expecting happiness. What does that mean? I may think mercy means it's going to be nice. And it's not nice. And so that's not nice when it's not nice. So I'm expecting nice. But expect mercy, because mercy may come in the form of you get turned upside down, or a little turmoil. Maybe you held by your ankles and shaken upside down. So whatever it is, in proportionate to our misdeed, then the reaction is going to come. How to expect mercy? Mujene vatma atmakam vipakam. This is very nice. Atma kritam. Krit means to do. Atma kritam, something that we do. Expecting mercy while enduring the consequences of one's past karma. Atma kritam. While seeking to face it with a mood of devotional service to Guru and Krishna. So here's that same heart up on the right side. We'll see it again a few times. There's the fellow. Atma kritam vipaka means that karma, that the reaction to something that I did. I'm the architect of good and bad, accrued interest, or one way, good fortune, ill fortune. While expecting your compassion means, while thinking, when will you show mercy to me? And that's, the mercy doesn't mean happiness. Mercy means what is going to help me go beyond making similar mistakes again in the future. We make too many mistakes. Some of us do anyways. Sridhar Swami is commenting this way. Yet, only experiencing bhujana eva, the result of karma accrued by oneself, but not toiling by performing harsh austerities and so on. This harsh austerities and so on means it's a canto 6 of Srimad Bhagavatam, follows canto 5. And the second half of canto 5 Bhagavatam is a description of Vedic cosmology. Very fascinating. And at the end of canto 5 is a description of the hellish planets. And there's a very gruesome, graphic description of what happens to living entities that go to that place. This suffering, that suffering, the other suffering, the other suffering. That ends canto 5. Canto 6 begins. Here's Maharaj Pariksit. He's going to die. Now it's, he's already canto 6, so it's like 4 days left or something like that. And he's going to die. And he's wondering, what can be done with all those people that are in the hellish planets that don't have to suffer like that? What can be done to relieve them of suffering? Hellish suffering. Hellish suffering. Compassion. One who's about to die is worried about those people. So, appropriately, Shukadeva Goswami says, prayaschitta, atoning for past sins is a way to relieve one from the reactions of sins. Atonement. And according to the degree of the severity of the sin, there may be severe austerities. So that's what he's making reference, by performing harsh austerities to mitigate the reactions of past misdeeds. Without toiling for mitigation of your past misdeeds, you just accept it. It's going to come because it's going to come. And instead, let me not focus on adjusting things. Let me focus on the purpose of life. And then if you don't know what the purpose of life is, you're not going to be able to focus on it. You're going to come up with something else and something else, like adjustments. And that's what material life is, a series of adjustments of trying to make something not nice, nice. And it never becomes nice. Even if it looks more nice than yesterday, wait a while, and it dissolves, becomes not nice again, or something else or something else. It's just, by design, this material world is a place of misery. Prisons aren't a place of nice. It's a place of misery. And that's the place, that's where we are. So the advice is, don't try to make it, perfume it. And, decorate it. You can do those things, it's okay. But that's not the solution. And thinking it's going to make it nice, that's foolish. Or undergoing the austerities to counter the prayaschitta to mitigate the reactions of one's past sins. That's not recommended either. Just the reaction, this is Brahma. The reaction is going to come. I accept it. I'm not asking you to not give it to me, because it's good medicine. Bhujana evatma kritam vipakam. There's same phrase again. The painting is Sanatan Goswami composing some literature, and over to the side that's his Madan Mohan deity. He's worshipping. The sense is those results must be experienced, hence there's no consideration of being attached to happiness when it's not going to be happiness. But you can be attached to mercy, even though being attached to not going through the results of one's karma. Here's some scriptural examples, two scriptural examples. On the left side, that's Maharaj Parikshit standing in the doorway of a sage. The sage is Shamak Rishi. And the king, because he was responsible to protect citizens, from time to time, kings would go to the forest and hunt wild animals like elephants and wild boar and confront them and survive and, put them to death. So there's no karma for the king to do that. He was needed to practice his protecting of citizens. So he was off in the forest doing that hunting. And for some reason, he became overwhelmed with thirst. After this event happened, he fasted for 7 days, no water or food for 7 days. I mean, it's out of character for him to become overwhelmed by anything on the sense platform. But he became overwhelmed with thirst, so he was looking for water. He saw a cottage, so he went to the cottage and went inside, and there was a sage engaged in meditation. And this, although he is a Kshatriya and the sage is a Brahmana, Brahmanas are cultured, and there's standard culture things you do when someone comes to your home. 3 things. Some water, place to sit, some kind words. 3 things, minimum. Anyone. And he didn't do any of them because he was in meditation. No, he's in meditation, and Maharaj Parikshit understands what that means. He's not connecting to the external world. But he then, another out of character behavior, he became angry. What kind of cultured person are you? Can't even receive your king. And so the third thing, as he came into the cottage, he saw a dead snake outside the cottage. He went back outside, put the dead snake on the edge of his sword, and draped the dead snake on his neck as a garland. This is a fitting garland for you, harumph. And walked out. His son wasn't at home. His son was off at school. And somebody sent him a text message. Do you know what happened to your father today? The king came to his hermitage and put a dead snake around your father. Ooh, bad. And the son became irate. And he already had some mantra meditation practices from his father. So he invoked a mantra that would result in the killing of the king in 7 days by a snake bird. Now, what's a snake bird? There's no such thing. It's a mystical, created by the mantra, snake bird. So the son went running back home, told his father's meditation was finished after when he found the snake bird around it, or the snake around his neck. And his son was crying and crying and crying, and his son told his dad what happened. So that it's too late. Once a Brahmana, although he's a little boy, utters a curse, you can't retract it. So the sage thought best to go inform the king. So he went and informed the king. I'm so sorry, but I think you should know you're going to die in 7 days. My son made this curse when you put this snake around my neck. And Maharaj Parikshit, being very powerful, could have done n number of different things, but he decided, I accept it. Same. Tate nukampam, so samikshamano. He accepted the reaction is going to come. The mercy from Krishna will come to me. He renounced his kingdom, turned the kingdom over to his son, and he did it quickly because he has only 7 days. And royal attire, set in a loincloth, and made a proclamation throughout his kingdom that all the sages come and advise me. What am I to do now I know that I have only 7 days remaining? What's a man to do when he knows he's going to die in 7 days? And with that, Shukadev Goswami came. He heard Shukadev Goswami speak Srimad Bhagavatam at the end of the 7 days. You see in the painting on the right, there's the snake bird. A bird that has wings. Excuse me, a snake that has wings. No such thing. But his venom was so powerful that when he bit the king, immediately his body burst into flame. His soul went back to Godhead because he was absorbed in Krishna consciousness from hearing from Shukadev Goswami. He got mercy, although the situation was pretty distressful. Similarly, I'm going to try to end this quickly. On the left side is a painting of King Chitraketu. There's a long section because of time. I've taking too much time, so I'm going to say it succinctly. King Chitraketu was a king, but he was without a son. And so, because wife number 1 produced no son, he married wife number 2. Because wife number 1 and 2 had no son, wife number 3. And I forget what the number was. How many queens did he have? 10 million? That's a lot of queens. Yes, that's right. 10 million. And no sons. Poor king. You knock on the, hey king, it's not meant to be, right? But he had to have a son because the son becomes the inheritor of the property of father and it runs the kingdom after he's gone. So, long story short, Angira Muni tried to persuade the king, just accept it. No, I can't accept it. Okay, here's a mango. Feed it to your queens and you'll be able to have a son. So he gave to his number 1 queen. Number 1 queen had a son. Yay! The king's very happy. The queen's very happy. The 9,999,999 other queens were neglected. And they became envious. So they poisoned the sun. And the next morning when the son is dead lying in his crib, the king came running and wailing, oh, my son is dead, my son is dead. Narada Muni showed up right at the right time, said all the right things in the right He's like uncanny, his ability to do stuff like this. And he came with Angira. And he saw the dead boy and said, "Boy, your father is lamenting, wailing. Please have mercy. Come back and be kind to your father." The boy sat up. He was dead, poisoned. He sat up. Didn't look at his father, just looked at Narada, said, "Who's my father? I've had so many lifetimes. How many fathers? I was just with my eternal father. I'm going back. See you later." I mean, he said many other things. So Chitraketu had some enlightened moments with hearing from his son like this, and the Narada instructed him, "Look, your son is dead. You were the king. Let someone else become the king, and you'll go to the forest and become a self-realized soul." And he was ready and went to the forest, became a self-realized soul. And not only, he was so intent, as he was intent on having a son, he was so intent on becoming spiritually realized. Very quickly, he attained Vidyadhara Loka and became king in a planet just below the heavenly planets. And he had this Vimana that you see in the painting, and he was zooming around the universe in his Vimana. And one of the places he went was to see his friend. He was so elevated, he had a friendship with Lord Shiva. And as you see in the painting, there's Narada Muni and many other sages sitting at the feet of Lord Shiva, hearing Lord Shiva. And so King Chitraketu, seeing that scene down below, made some words of remark that Parvati thought was criticism of Lord Shiva, and it was a word of appreciation of Lord Shiva. Who could have a beautiful woman like Parvati sitting on your lap in the midst of all these sages and not be disturbed? But Parvati thought she was criticizing him, so she cursed him. Tat te nukampam susamikshimano. She cursed him. You become a demon. And so, guess what? Became a demon. And there's a whole long description of Vritrasura, and Vritrasura was a demon. He was doing the behaviors of a demon and tromping on a giant guy in battle and this and that and the other thing. And the demigods came. This painting on the right is finally Indra came with his thunderbolt weapon and cut off his limbs. Thus ends Vritrasura, the demon that King Chitraketu became. And he went back to Godhead because his consciousness was fixed in service to the Supreme. There's two examples from Scripture. So to end, here's another nice painting. Again, going through the verse, Tat te nukampam, this is the heart with a little doorway. Something's going to appear in the doorway. Earnestly hoping for the Lord's mercy towards transformation of consciousness while patiently enduring one's karma and Hridvag Vapur Bir Vididhan Namaste, offering obeisances to the Lord with one's heart, words, and body. That's the verse. And since we all undergo difficulties from time to time, if not too much, from time to time at least, what to do when those difficulties come? Namo Namaste. The essence of experiencing the Lord's mercy and the essence of patiently enduring fruits of karma culminates in expressing one's surrender to the Lord in the form of offering obeisances with three main faculties: heart, words, and body. So that's the fellow at the bottom. He's opening his arms, looking up to Krishna, and different persons praying in different praying postures, expecting the mercy of Krishna. even when enduring some hardship that life may send your way. Same idea. This is another very nice verse, spoken by Vishwanath Chakrabarti. It was from the 4th canto, but it expresses the same message. As a father mercifully makes his son drink milk and bitter juice time and time again, embraces him, kisses him, and draws him close with his hand, so only my master, not I, know what is good for me. Hence, time, karma, and the like have no influence on me, your devotee. Thus, out of mercy, you make me experience happiness and sorrow and induce me to serve you. So that drink milk, that's sweet, and sometimes bitter juice, because if a little boy has some illness, the father may not give him milk, he may give some medicine that's bitter. And the son may go, oh, bitter. But the father knows, don't take the milk, take the bitter, because that will cure your illness. You take the milk, it'll aggravate your illness. Don't take the milk. So it's not punishment, it's the best interest. And that's the mood that Brahma is expressing in this verse, and it's the teaching. So, jiveta yo mukti pade sadayabak. Only while living, or jiveta, does one partake in or inherit the gift of the Father's affluence. Just live. Similarly, only while staying on the path of bhakti does a person become recipient of the gift of his feet. Jiveta, just being alive in devotional service under the guidance of a spiritual master. So I'm going to end. There's a few more slides, but I think you get the idea. It's an important verse. So in this first 8 verses, particular emphasis to verse number 3, verse number 8. And I recommend strongly that you become very familiar with these verses. They'll be the goal of life and the means to achieve it, and what to do when hardship comes. Because life has it from time to time. And how to respond. And how to respond in such a way that you go back to Godhead. Krishna sees, here's a very sincere person. Circumstance doesn't deter them. They're fixed. They're accepting the responsibility of their past good, bad, mixed activities. And here comes those activities, results, and they're fixed on me. Important. Practical. Goal of life and how to achieve it, and how to deal with circumstances that are difficult. Let's see if there's some discussion. Yes?
Thank you for the class, Maharaj. I had a quick question. In the slide with Dakshaka burning Parikshit Maharaj, there's seemingly a Brahmana running away with a basket.
Yeah.
So what was the significance of that?
Okay. The significance of that was there was a devotee, a Brahmana, who was going to the scene where Maharaj Parikshit was completing his austerity. And Takshaka assumed the form of a Brahmana. He was disguising himself because it was known that a snake bird would bite him, and so he had a shape-changing power. He assumed the form of a Brahmana so he could get through the crowd and go and bite him. No, just listen. So as he was going, he saw another Brahmana, and he asked the other Brahmana, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to where Maharaj Parikshit is going to be bitten by a snake bird. Oh, really? What's the purpose? I have mantras that can neutralize any poison. said, really? How about this? So there was a tree, I forget exactly the detail, there was a tree, and the tree was made poisonous and it died. The man, the Brahmana, knew the mantras and made it come back to life, just like poof. Oh. So when you're going, are you expecting dakshin from the king? Oh, yes. He said, tell you what, here's some dakshin. Far more than you're going to get from Maharaj Pariksit. So that's what he's carrying, the basket full of gold. So he left. And Takshaka went and...
Takshaka had given him the jewels.
Yeah. Then he assumed the form of a snake bird. One Brahmin to another Brahmin. Deceptive Brahmin. And a greedy Brahmin. Yes. Little button. Hit the magic button.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Oh,
thank you
look
for
at
such
that.
a
Good.
wonderful class. Maharaj, I wanted to ask, how can we tell if we are being affected by Mahamaya or Yogamaya?
Oh.
So when we use our free will, how do we know if it's taking us away from Krishna or bringing us closer to him? For example, when Maharaj Parikshit, he uses his free will, and then he throws snake on the Brahmana. But when we read in Bhagavatam, it says it was guided by Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. So is there any way that we can tell like whether our choices are part of Krishna's plan or it just Maya's trap?
Okay. We're not on the, very simple. 1, 2, 3. 1, we're not on the platform of Maharaj Pariksit. We're not on the platform of Arjuna. We're not on the platform of Lord Brahma. You know, we're influenced by Mahamaya. Given. That's number 1. Now, how Maharaj Pariksit was influenced by Yogamaya was Krishna calling him quickly to the spiritual world, but using him, his dear devotee. I mean, he was dear to Krishna even before he was born. Correct? Krishna protected him from the Brahmastra weapon by Uttara's appeal. Krishna personally protected. He was special, special, special. And then his whole life was devoted to Krishna. So he's in that Yogamaya position. So it was Yogamaya that influenced him to do bad stuff. It was bad stuff. Dead snake around a yogi, a brahmana who's in trance because he didn't give you any water. Bad stuff. That's Yogamaya. It's in his case, it's Yogamaya. In our case, it's Mahamaya. So now the third answer to your question, it's very simple. Who's at the center? When it's Yogamaya, Krishna's at the center. When Krishna's at the center, it's Yogamaya. And when Krishna's not at the center, it's Mahamaya. So who's at the center? No, back to the first one. For us, it's Mahamaya. We don't make mistakes because of Yogamaya. We make mistakes because of Mahamaya. And when it becomes a very exalted position, like what Brahma did, stealing the calves and the cowherd boys, it was influenced, it was Krishna's arrangement for that to happen. Because he's not an ordinary living entity. He can build the universe. He's a directly empowered person. He's Shakti Vesh Avatar. Empowered with the Lord Shrishti Shakti to create the universe. Because he's an entrusted person. So there's the exception and there's the rule. We're the rule. And how to know, for you and me to know when we're under the influence of Yogamaya, who's at the center? That's Yogamaya. That's how you know the difference. Okay. In the back? Okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I'd been contemplating on Shri Radhika Mataji's sharing yesterday, and I was thinking maybe in relationship with Krishna, it's a little bit different. I'm actually thinking of practical application in devotee relationships, Guru Maharaj. I'm realizing when there is some kind of a strain or something is happening in the relationship, there has to be a certain level of maturity to accept that my weakness or whatever I have caused in that relationship, go and apologize. And as we have seen in verse 8 today, be willing to accept whatever comes from that. So I just want to share this and hear your comments. When we hear this class theoretically, yes, I understand and it makes sense. But unless the heart is really at that place and eager to keep that relationship alive, I may not be able to go there and stand and express my apologies.
Well, easier said than done. Another response is what you just shared. Again, this morning, Sri Radhika sent me a little text message saying this has been her meditation of late. You know, there was more detail, restorative justice and all of that. But, maintaining following what you said comes the next question. How do you get there? How do you get to that place in the heart? Is bhakti. And that the bhakti principle is that Krishna should be pleased. And if you don't have that focus, one who does have that focus has that capacity. One that doesn't have that focus doesn't have that capacity. Qualities are decorations. Transcendental qualities become the decorations of a devotee. And, how advanced is our dedication to Krishna, that Krishna should be pleased. I mean, it's not a sectarian statement. It's just reality. Reality is that's health. And then there's disease. When there's something else, and something else is operating, and that's the disease condition. So how do we get to the healthy condition? So there are things that can help us. This because I just did it. Canto 7, the last 5 chapters of Canto 7 are describing there's direct bhakti, and there are 21 characteristics that are enhance and help bhakti. But they're resting upon direct bhakti. They enhance, they help, but it's not the essence of bhakti. So say it again. Unless one gets to the essence of bhakti, the statement of from that place in the heart, etc., isn't going to happen. But it doesn't mean we stop being compassionate and stop being concerned and stop. But they're helpers, but that's not the essence. The essence is the essence. And that's what we're engaged in. The sadhana of the essence. And to the degree that we're not just making a behavior, but Krishna is looking to see, do they really want me? Until then, it's behaviors. It's okay, but it's not the essence. Yes, there's a microphone right here, then you're going to get it next. Go ahead, pass her the microphone. Go ahead. No, yes, Shatarupa. Shri Radhika's question.
Verse 8 describes a certain orientation of the heart.
You're not on. The microphone's not on. It's on. Okay. Turn up the volume. Try again.
Verse 8 describes a certain orientation of the heart on the part of the devotee,
Yes.
and words and behaviors that follow therefrom.
Yes.
Such a devotee then becomes the rightful claimant of the kingdom of God.
Yes.
How would you distinguish this from an entitlement mentality and thinking of bhakti as something bound by the laws of cause and effect relationships?
Yeah, I just had a dialogue with somebody that this second is what they were thinking. It was really quite unpleasant. There wasn't really an exchange. It was just unpleasant. I mean, the simple. My mind was going to the situation. It took me away from the words of her question, but the principle is the same principle as bhakti, and it's the same as his question. How do we know we're in Mahamaya or Yogamaya? Same question. Who's at the center? The happiness of Krishna is at the center. And if that's the case, when that is, until we're there, we're not there. We're moving, maybe, slowly or whatever, incrementally in that direction. Maybe just the motions of, but not the essence of, bhakti. So the essence is when Krishna is pleased. It's just like in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there's a definition of what sadhana bhakti is. And because she's meditating deeply on this, I'll look up the verse that is Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that gives a definition of bhakti. And the definition of bhakti means there's an element of ecstasy or bhava in that practice of the sadhana. The senses of the sadhaka have an ecstasy in contemplating that Krishna will be pleased. So it may be an immature stage of ecstasy, but it's a contemplation that brings great joy and happiness to the heart, that Krishna should be pleased, or Krishna will be pleased. And it's similar to this tattenu kampam susamikshimano. That's the reciprocation from Krishna's side to the recipient. Krishna is very kind. And the other is Krishna is very kind. So let me offer to this very kind person something that's a genuine gift from me to that very kind person. And that's sadhana. And that's from the heart, that Krishna should be pleased. And there's a joy that comes to that sadhaka. And that's a definition of sadhana. Can you send me a reminder for that one too? The definition from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And I'll send it to you and to her. And this other one I'll send to you. Okay, behind you. Two more questions and that's it. We're going to wrap up. Your question and her question.
Krishna Maharaj.
Nice to see you here.
Thank you.
Took a little break.
My question was like the entire essence of the material world is ultimately to go back to Krishna.
Well, can we modify that statement?
Yes.
What does go back to Krishna mean? So it's not from here to there. It's being in a relationship with Krishna, wherever one may be.
Yes,
Okay.
that means a modification of our consciousness.
Yes.
And so my question is, besides that ultimate goal, like at a material level, I'm trying to understand like how karma works.
How does karma work? It doesn't work at that level.
Yes,
Karma doesn't work at that level.
yes. But at a material level, like I think of karma as like a mirror. Like, you know, when we do something good reflects back. And when we do something bad reflects back.
Okay, that's karma.
Right? So I'm trying to understand, like, so when we learn the lesson that is behind, you know, what we are supposed to learn, then I think ultimately, like, at least the bad reactions for our karma should stop, right?
Well, you're using logic, and as long as your logic leads one to the position, my full shelter is within Krishna, is permanently established. Now, free will is always there even after that, but free will won't change that. Not just I've been punished, so now I've learned a lesson. I won't. That's according to the discussion at the beginning of Canto 6. Prayaschitta doesn't endure, because the person that learns a lesson, there's tendency that they did the bad thing to begin with, and that tendency isn't taken away. So later on, good chance they'll do the same foolish thing again. So language, you're asking for this clarification, so I have to be a little careful with language. So now, learning lessons is not sufficient. Orientation of love, that's sufficient. So I may have the idea, I have a notion of love. I love, you fill in the blank. I love my dog. I love my car. I love my something, fill in the blank. But that's not it's not the essence of what love is. So what the essence of love is on the spiritual platform. And when one has love for Krishna, that has love for the Krishna's parts and parcels. Love. Even when somebody does bad stuff. And then I may choose to behave this way, that way, depending upon the person or the circumstance. But never departing from that position. Now, with that context, what else would you like to say? You got the microphone.
Yes, Maharaj. My question was more regarding karma specifically. So, like, for example, I was thinking, like, if a person is parking on the wrong side of the road where they're not supposed to park, but they have learned, they get tickets, but eventually, like, they learn that they should not be parking on the wrong side of the road. So then, like, the reaction of karma should stop, right? Like, so similarly, I was thinking, like, if a person learns the proper lesson, then in Krishna's system, even at a material level, that karma coming to him should stop.
Well, not necessarily. Nice try. But knowledge is not sufficient. Being punished enough and severely is not sufficient. Atonement with severe something is not sufficient. Because there's the innate tendency to try to be the enjoyer, and the innate tendency to try to be the enjoyer is that's not that. This it's not going to stop karma. So what changes that? If knowledge and atonement is not sufficient, I paid my fines enough, okay, I won't park. What's the tendency to try to be the enjoyer? That has to be replaced. Because it'll come out some other way, if not that way.
Guru Maharaj, in one of the slides, it says that expecting the mercy plus devotional service to Guru and Krishna, I'm unable to understand what does it mean to expect mercy.
What does it mean? Well, well, this is the definition by negation. We talked about that this morning. Definition by negation. So it's not, well, here's what it's not. It's not expecting mercy is it's going to be nice. Expecting mercy is it's going to be what it's going to be, but the place from which that whatever is going to, the mercy has come is compassion and wisdom and intelligence and my best interest. That's the place where it's coming from. That's the mercy. Expecting mercy. And the warm embrace. Or, as in Shikshastika, or neglecting. Or whatever it is, that it's coming from a place of mercy. Here's a nice little example. Nice little example is Guru Das was preparing a document for Srila Prabhupada to establish ISKCON. And when he was writing the document to establish ISKCON, he neglected to put in the favor of the founder Acharya. And Prabhupada was very angry. And he said, you want to be the Acharya. So unspecified means you want. And he said, no, he was, and Prabhupada was giving him the cold shoulder treatment for days. He just angry face and demeanor. And and Prabhupada is heavy. So when he had a mood like that, it was like, whoa. Because normally he was very jolly. And then in a certain sequence of exchanges happened. Guru Das writes that he was crying. Prabhupada, I don't want to be the Acharya. Prabhupada said, I know that you don't. And then he started, they became soft. But by leaving it out, then it could be, one might think it could be that you want to be the Acharya. You didn't put my name, so it could be you want to be. He was teaching him a lesson. It was hard to be taught a lesson like that, but it was from a place of mercy. And never make that mistake again. That's where the inclination was not just because of getting spanked or getting, paying his fine, Prabhupada was amplifying his love to the point where it was, it burst out. So, that's mercy. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.